All right, so today I'm going to be going over Chapter 5, ISD. Chapter 5 talks about technological advancements in the medical field. So, the first part would be a profile of healthcare in the United States. So, the concern for quality. The major concern for quality is with all this new technology, sometimes everything gets introduced so fast that it's implemented sloppily. And so the AHCPR created the guidelines for how things should be used, cleanliness stuff, and then it was later changed to the AHRQ. Sorry. Basically, were made to combat the underuse and the overuse. So just treatments that had no benefit for the person, like working on their heart when they're in multiple organ failure, and underuse would be like not treating conditions that are treatable. That's kind of what those guidelines kind of provide. They help take away the gray area for doctors. Talking about medical care options, DRG, which is the patient classification by diagnosis. So patients are grouped into categories based on what their diagnosed diseases are. Fee-for-service payment and managed care plans are both kind of came about when insurance became popular, HMOs and PPOs. Healthcare priorities. The cost of healthcare has increased due to demand, which has also led for the development of technology used in healthcare, which has kind of helped to lower the cost of healthcare. So basically, the need for healthcare went up. Therefore, they could charge more because people had to pay it no matter what. I see that definitely in my cost of meds. But yeah, that's definitely something that you could see. If you ever look at your bills from the hospital before insurance, it's a lot. So as far as contemporary tech in medicine, MI surgery, which is minimally invasive, people use lasers, arthroscopes, shock waves, nanotech, and robotics to perform surgeries now. I mean, if you ever have kidney issues, you get 3 tiny little cuts in your abdomen. They perform heart surgeries. They use robotics, which we'll talk about later. But the Da Vinci machine is used on cardiovascular surgeries now, which is very, very cool. The next thing that was talked about in the contemporary tech and medicine section was procreation, which is includes IVF, which is a test tube baby, amniocentesis, which is testing babies for abnormalities by basically just inserting a needle into the amniotic fluid, taking it out, and they can test for variances in that and the genetic makeup of that to see if your baby's going to have any birth defects, mental illnesses, that sort of thing. And then we also have ultrasound, which is used to uses sound waves to create a picture of your baby while in the womb. So the next one is quality of life ethics, which is something we talked about in the discussion boards. It's something that I think is kind of interesting because I did have great grandparents that probably overlived their life expectancy. And I mean, at some point, they just end up giving up. It's not necessarily an illness that makes them give up. It's just their quality of life has dipped so far that they just don't want to live anymore. Which is basically what I gathered from that section too. My note says people are living longer at the expense of their quality of life. So the book mentioned that doctors have been told to do everything they can to keep their patient alive, and a lot of times I think they do that at the expense of thinking about what their life would be like after they're cured, I guess is what you could say. So that's really an interesting topic. Then we get into issues with medical technology. First one I wrote down was limits to resources. So the economy only allots so much resources to the medical field, so that could be kind of limited, and we could see some times where the resources are allocated to a certain group of people, and they're not widespread. Organ transplants are not equal. The book mentions how, like, if a family can afford it and it can get media attention, that they may get the organ before somebody else who does not have enough money or is less popular, which I think is 100% true. And then also cyber medicine now, you can just FaceTime a doctor and he can write you a prescription for stuff, and that's kind of new. I've never done it, but I've had friends that have done it, and it's very interesting. It's kind of nice when we're out here in college and our doctors in, Wichita or all the way back home. You can't just drive down there 3 hours and see them. So something that's kind of cool. Overall, I envision a lot of technological advancements in healthcare, but I think that they're going to draw a fine line because it's kind of, the environment's becoming a big thing, and if the population becomes too old or is living too long, then we're going to start seeing a raise in carbon emissions. So I think they're going to draw a line on how far healthcare can go, whether that be ethical or economical. But yeah, unfortunately, I think healthcare is only going to go so far before they draw the line. And honestly, I think it already probably has been drawn. I think the elites, this might just be a conspiracy theory, but rich people seem to live a hell of a lot longer than us middle class people. So that's just my take. But overall, chapter 5, very interesting. Enjoyed reading it. So I'm going to get on to chapter 6 now.